Hello great people, how is everyone doing? Welcome back to another episode. So today let's talk about something that makes the world go round. Let's talk money. So quite a number of you have asked what my basic cost of living monthly was as a language student. So I'll be telling you all of that in this video. Let's get right straight to it. So when I came to Germany, I knew I was not allowed to work on a language course visa. At this point, I knew I had to manage my resources and every penny I received from home. So I got sent a certain amount of money monthly, so I knew I had to manage all of that. And the cost of living in Germany is not cheap compared to when I lived in Romania. One of the major things that will suck up your monthly budget is accommodation. Yes, so at the beginning, I think, to be precise, I paid 370 euros for the apartment I lived in at the time. In Germany, there are different kinds of accommodation. There is the shared accommodation, there is a studio apartment, which consists of just like a room, a toilet, and a small kitchen. And there are also apartments where you have like 2-3 rooms. It all boils down to your pocket and to your preference. What do you like? I lived in a studio apartment, and like I said, it did cost 370 euros warm. Warm, like the Germans would say. Warm or warm, it means all inclusive. Your heating, water, everything was included. Electricity was also included for this price. Be careful when you search for apartments and you see, for example, 370 euros monthly cold, or you see 370 euros monthly warm. Warm and kalt, that's the words, those are the words in German. The cold simply means it's just the rent and maybe water, like heating and any other expenses is not included. So be careful, always make sure you ask the landlord clearly to state if it's with or without, if it's everything inclusive or not. So that took like most of the budget. That was 370 euros for accommodation monthly. And then the next thing is transportation. Transportation is also expensive, like public transportation is expensive in Germany. To be precise, I paid 72.3 euros for my monthly ticket as a language school student. I think without the student's card, it was 120 euros. But if you're a student, as a language student, I did get like the discount, so I paid 72.3 euros. And I could get on the buses, the trains, the tram within the specific area within my state and the specific region. So I stayed in Duisburg, which is in NRV, North Rhine-Westphalia. That's the name of the state. Moving on to the next thing, which is feeding and toiletries. Monthly, I spent at about 80 euros, more or less. For everyone is different. Cost of living, like you already know, is relative. Everyone has different needs, but for me, it was around that price monthly on the average. So sometimes it was a bit more, sometimes it was way less, but on the average it was like 80 euros. And then the telephone bills, I think I had the very minimal, I think it was 3 gig monthly, and I could call lines in Germany, free SMS for 7.99 euros. It was with Audi Talk. That was the network provider. They were quite cheap, and most of the students at the language school used Audi Talk at the time, which was very, very cheap. One thing you need to know, in Germany, you do have to contribute to like monthly radio, TV, newspaper bills. You have to make a monthly contribution, which was 7.5 €5. So it doesn't even matter if you have a radio or a TV. Or I was so mad at the beginning. I'm like, I live in this very small room, there is no TV, I didn't have a radio, so why should I make these contributions? But yeah, now I get it. Now it's no more 7.5, it has increased by 86 cents, which is now 18.36 euros monthly, and it's based on the apartment. So it's not per head, it's per apartment. I lived alone, so I had to pay this fee alone. But if you live in a shared apartment, or you have other people living in the same apartment, then it's like divided by 2 or 3 or 4, depending on how many people live in the apartment, and that is way cheaper. That's one of the advantages of living in a shared apartment. And then miscellaneous, like sometimes after the language school, I went out with a couple of friends from the language school and all that, and that also costs money. I usually took the least thing on the menu. So miscellaneous, I would say around 50-60 euros, depending. There were times when I didn't go out at all. I just, school, home, whatever, anything that didn't require spending money. So it wasn't all the time, but I would say around 50 euros if I had to just go out, or I was stuck somewhere and then I needed to use a taxi or something. So those were like miscellaneous, was around 50 euros ish. Everything sums up to 597. So I would say approximately 600 euros monthly. That was like my monthly cost of living on the average. If you multiply that by 12, let's say 600 euros by 12, you will get around, how much is that? 600 euros times 12. Do the math, whatever you get. And then I also had like language school, which was 350 euros per level. So I came to Germany and I started with A2, B1, B2 and C1. Those were 4 levels. So 4 levels multiplied by 350, that would give you 1,400 euros. That was how much I spent in total for the language school. So if we were to add everything up together, I would say 600 approximately monthly multiplied by 12, that's like 7,200 euros. And if you include the 1,400 euros which I spent in total for the language school, that would give you around 8,600 euros per annum. So in a year I spent around 8,600 euros as cost of living. Mind you, there were times when I had to do other things that are not included. Like there was a time I had to make a new passport, I had to travel to Berlin to get that done. So these little things or other expenses like that, I didn't include them here. Yeah, I did say you're not allowed to work, which is true. You're not allowed to work on a language course visa. You are not allowed to work. But at some point, I'll tell you a story. A friend of mine she was already working as a doctor, and she didn't have the time to always clean, and she was looking for a cleaner because the one she had at the time wasn't doing a great job. And she mentioned it, and I'm like, what? You're looking for a cleaner? I do have a PhD in cleaning. I will do the work, So I did get that job from her on the side, which I did twice in a month. So it was every 2 weeks. So I did that for a couple of months, and I did earn 50 euros per month. So it wasn't a lot, but it did cover my miscellaneous, and it did sort of help a little bit. It did help, it did make a difference. So such jobs from people helps. Otherwise, you are not allowed to work, like I said. This sums up how much I spent and my cost of living monthly and per annum. And I do hope it gives you an idea. Like I said, it depends on your location, it depends, many factors come to play. Your lifestyle, if you're very extravagant and all that, you might spend a bit more, and if you manage a bit, you also spend a little bit more. But on the average, personally for me, this was how much I spent. I hope this helps you, and I'll see you in the next video. Keep your light shining. Bye.